Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Developing mRNA for Therapy, My Journey. Today, on the behalf of TFG, we would like to welcome every single one of you to be here with us. Also, we are extremely honored to invite Dr. Katalin Karikó, 2022 Tom Prize Laureate in Biopharmaceutical Science, to be here with us. The Tom Prize was established in December 2012 by Dr. Samuel Yin. The prize recognizes extraordinary achievements in 4 major fields, which are sustainable development, sinology, rule of law, and biopharmaceutical science. The Tom Prize started with the beliefs that changing the world begins with education, and the Tom Prize Foundation has been arranging many of its laureates to travel to Taiwan to share their researches and experience with not only scholars, but also students. And that's why we have the privilege to organize and present this event to you. Just as a note, there has been 4 Tom Prize laureates in 2 biopharmaceutical science that has won their Nobel Prize 4 years after awarded their Tom Prize. How lucky we are to be in the same room with the next Nobel Prize winner. Before we start, I would like to introduce to you our distinguished guests. Mr. Zhiyuan Chen, Principal of Taipei First Girls High School. Ms. Ying Hu, the Director of the Department of Planning and Development of the Tom Prize Foundation. Last, and also the main reason that brings us all here together, Dr. Katalin Karikó, 2022 Tom Prize Laureate in Biopharmaceutical Science. Dr. Katalin Karikó is a person filled with curiosity in everything she loves, while also possesses a humble mind in her world-leading research of SARS-CoV vaccine. Dr. Karikó wanted to become a scientist when she was in high school, same as many of you in the participant. However, RNA was a less popular and more complex field of bioscience, so she went through a tough journey with relatively poor laboratory support. But when she met Dr. Drew Weissman, they became partners and started their research on mRNA vaccines. And how did the research go? As we can all see, it was a monumental achievement for them. Also, Dr. Karikó shared her inspiring advice in a video. Focus on what you can change, not what you can't change, will make a big difference. And now, we will be enjoying a short video about the greatness and achievement of Dr. Katalin Karikó.
In November 2019, a public health crisis struck the world. COVID-19 was spreading like wildfire across the globe. Amid great uncertainties, a lifeline emerged. The first mRNA vaccine for humans was developed in less than a year. It arrested the advance of the pandemic, and a group of dedicated scientists made this miracle possible. One notable person was Dr. Katalin Karikó. Without her, mRNA vaccines would not have been used so quickly. mRNA stands for messenger RNA. It tells cells what their tasks are, such as making proteins. Dr. Karikó and UPenn immunologist Dr. Drew Weissman developed an mRNA that can escape immune surveillance and trigger immune responses. So the body learns how to fight the virus without being exposed to it. However, this revolutionary breakthrough initially received little attention.
People had been burned by RNA. RNA is very difficult to work with.
He was the one, he said, listen, the telephone will ring. And of course, nobody called, not 2005, not 2008.
Born in Hungary, Dr. Karikó later moved to America. Though she devoted her life to studying mRNA, her lab was forced to close. She was then demoted. During this trying period, she met Dr. Weissman by a photocopier, and their lives were changed.
And I introduced myself. I like to brag, and told him that I am working with RNA.
When we started working together, it was Katie and I working at a bench like this, side by side. It was just the 2 of us.
They kept working shoulder to shoulder for more than 20 years. These efforts expedited the arrival of the COVID mRNA vaccines. But one more key player found a way to allow mRNA to enter human cells and deliver its instructions. Dr. Peter Cullis is a pioneer of lipid nanoparticles, which can encapsulate mRNAs that encode specific viral protein and deliver them into certain cells. When the clinical trial results were released, he was rather shocked.
I was amazed. I was hoping that was going to work. I mean, maybe 70%, 95%. I don't think anybody could quite imagine that happening. So, that was incredible. For people that thought lipids were not that important, well, I think we've shown them wrong. So.
These three scientists not only saved millions of lives, but also ushered in an era of mRNA LNP therapies, and more medical wonders are yet to come.
What an amazing achievement and persistency of hard work that created the mRNA vaccine, which helped keep millions of people healthy and safe from the pandemic. Now, we would like to welcome Principal Zhiyuan Chen to come up to the stage and give us his welcome remarks.
"欢迎各位同学来到北一女中来参加第5届唐奖的系列活动青年论坛。唐奖有东方诺贝尔奖之美誉，得奖者都是对人类社会做出了很具体的贡献。那么我们今天非常荣幸能够邀请到Dr. Karikó 那来跟我们介绍mRNA 的一个疫苗的开发过程。我觉得这带给我们的不只是在生技医药方面的研究，更是一群科学家他们一起共同努力合作，那么帮助这个全世界度过了一个难关。我认为这是我们学习科学一个非常重要的成功典范。各位同学今天非常幸运你们可以在高中的阶段就可以来一睹这个唐奖得奖者的风采。校长认为这是一个非常好的开始就是能够让同学们可以在巨人的肩膀上面你可以去看见更远大的梦想祝福今天同学都有满满的收获谢谢。
Thank you, Principal Chen. Next, we would like to invite Director Yingying Hu to say a few words.
各位同学，大家早教育呢是润泰尹衍良先生他一生的志业那他在2012年的时候创办了唐奖。那奖励世界上在永续发展、生技医药、汉学以及法治4大领域对世界有贡献的这些有卓越贡献的人。那所以唐奖呢，除了举办那个颁奖典礼以及一些论坛活动之外，我们特别也希望能够跟高中同学们做一个对谈以及互动。那今年非常感谢有再次的机会跟北一女这边来做合作。那我们在2016年的时候也曾经邀请过Jennifer Doudna， 她是2016年的生技医药奖的得主。那她也是世界国际上知名的RNA 的研究的学者。那她后来在2020年的时候获得了诺贝尔的生医奖。那我们在2018年的时候，也邀请了那个第3届的永续发展奖的得主，詹姆斯汉森 James Hansen 教授。那我们那年是跟师大附中合作，那 James Hansen 也跟同学们分享了就是气候变迁的这个议题。那所以这次呢，就是也非常高兴，就是 Karikó 教授能够在他百忙的行程之中，特别抽出这样的一段时间，他本人也非常高兴 能够有机会来跟各位同学做一个互动。那他的故事，人生故事非常的精彩。我们大家今天看到的是他成功的故事。我们知道，他的疫苗拯救了全世界。那其实我们也知道，也有看到他的故事。他其实在这个疫苗成功之前，事实上他已经在这个领域里面已经默默的耕耘了20几年，甚至他这一路走来并不是那么顺利，曾经也有非常不顺利、不得意的时候。那他如何的面对这些困顿的时候那这些怎么样去走过来，怎么样的一个心情？我相信这些故事也是非常对同学会在人生的道路上面应该也是非常具有启发性。所以也希望今天的这样子的活动能够带给同学们很多的收获，也希望就是同学们在未来有机会的话也能够得到唐奖，然后回到学校来跟学弟们学妹们做一个分享。谢谢各位。
Thank you, Director Hu, and please stay on the stage for a moment. We've prepared a small gift and will be presented to you by Principal Chen. Next, Director Hu will also be presenting a gift to Principal Chen. Thank you, Principal Chen and Director Hu. Please return to your seats. It is our greatest honor and sincere appreciation to have Dr. Katalin Karikó here with us. The students of Taipei First Girls High School would like to present a special gift of the school to you. Now, let's welcome Dr. Karikó to come up to the stage. The two representatives. We will be taking a photo with Dr. Karikó, Principal Chen, Director Hu, and our two students. Thank you. Dr. Karikó, please remain on the stage. Now, let's welcome 2022 Tom Prize laureate, Dr. Katalin Karikó, to share her stories with us.
Thank you very much. It is so wonderful. It is August, and you guys are here. It's not in vacationing, and it is already, I have to perform well enough to worth your time to come here in a summer day. I thought that, talking about how the mRNA was developed to therapy, actually in the afternoon I will talk scientific lecture, and you can watch it online, but today I wanted to talk about my own journey. And so the RNA was discovered in 1961, and it took 60 years to develop to a FDA-approved product in the form of a vaccine, the mRNA vaccine. And so many things happened during those 60 years. I don't tell you that I'm not old enough to know from the 61 that what happened, but most of the time I remember because I lived and studied that. And with the discovery of RNA, we learned that messenger RNA is a very important middleman, which carries information from the DNA to the protein synthesis factory, which is, in the ribosome. I don't know whether you learned in school about that. But so what happened after the 60 years, again, I mentioned in the afternoon you can hear more about. But I am talking about how did I get here? So I was born in Hungary, and just like every other little girl, I lived in a very simple household. We had just one room, no television set for at least the first 10 years of my life, but we had electricity and loving family and big yard. And I had an older sister. On the far left, you can see my parents. That's actually my sister there, I was told. I was not remembering, but we lived in this little house and lived the life of any children at that time. And my sister was studying well, so when you have siblings and they are in school and they are already so good, teacher expect that you has to be good. So that's what happened. I went to school, and I was interested competing with different kind of science competition, chemistry, biology. And when I was 13 years old, I was already, third best in the county, and when I was 14, third best in the country in Hungary in biology. And so I was very much interested, and at that time, all of these, those who were in the first 3 place in the competition, we went to the summer camp. And can you imagine, these are elementary school children, girls. And then later on, they became chemists, biologists, and physicians. So it is very interesting that I'm sure you kind of figured out what you want, but it might happen in elementary school, that you are determined that you want to do something with your life and you are working very hard towards. And so that was this camp, and all of these girls, just 13 years old. And what happened that's my high school. That's older than yours. It was 250 years old. But it is a small town, just 10,000 people live there. And my teachers, just like yours, were excellent in that high school. And what happened is we couldn't learn English. I could see that many of you can speak here English very well. But we learned Russian and French and German, but no English. And so we sent letter to scientists who were in the United States because they could speak Hungarian. They were Hungarian. And so it influenced my life. I will later talk about how letter to Hans Scheyer, who responded, influenced my life. So in Hungary, so it was difficult from a small town, to get to the university. I have never seen a professor or a building, big building, which would be a university building. So what happened is that the university organized a summer camp for children whose children was, the children were underprivileged somewhat, that their parents were not highly educated. My parents had just elementary school. My father had 6 elementary, my mother 8 elementary. They, due to the war, they had no chance to study. And so they were very intelligent people, but, without formal education. But, they encourage us, as probably your parents encourage you to study, because that's actually on the very right, that's me, listening very tentatively, a professor in the summer of 1972. So, it was not that somebody was let to enter to the university, but was given to the chance for 2 weeks in the middle of the summer to study hard and learn more. And finally, I just want to show you a picture how I was when it was the high school. So I was always the tallest there, and in 1973, the miniskirt was the shortest. Yeah, you can see I can see that here some of you have also miniskirt, but that was the shortest that time. So this is my classmate when I was 18 years old. And that was 50 years ago. So I am going back to Hungary. We will celebrate the 50 years we finished high school. So I wanted to go to Szeged, which is the southern part of Hungary, to University of Szeged. Why? Because the Hungarian Academy of Science just opened this new research center. And that was my dream, to go there and work there and do some research. So eventually I succeeded. And when I was a student, at the university I just started, I wanted to do some experiment. I had no clue that what a scientist is doing. So the only place was opening is the lipid lab, lipid laboratory. And it sounds like boring. Everybody was interested in 1973 is genetics. Yeah, that's interesting. Lipid, like something not. But that was the only opening. And I went, the professor sent me there to go to summer because he said that the rest of your life you can spend in the laboratory, but now just go to this fishery institute and collect fish which was farmed, and we will measure the fat content. Yeah, I didn't know that I am 58 years old. I am still at the bench at that point, but I wanted to go to the laboratory, but he sent me out to field study. And here I have a little link, and you will have this presentation so you can see what others I suggested to what a young scientist should do. They also mentioned to put their hands and start some experiment, a simple one. So after returning from this summer experience, I returned back to the laboratory, but that time I was still a student. And what was interesting is that fellow scientists came to us for some phospholipids, and of course I was behind the Iron Curtain and we couldn't order many things, so we needed phospholipid, phosphatidylserine, different phospholipid, because the scientists want to make liposome. That was new things for me. Everything was new because I was just starting to be a biologist. And, and of course, we couldn't purchase it. So Ernő, the head of the lab, he went to the slaughterhouse and came back with a big cow brain. And we spent 1 week to extract. And finally, end of the week, we get the critical compound. And we could make liposome, put plasmid DNA into it, and deliver it to the cells. I cannot tell you that how many times in my life later on came back that kind of first experiment. Because what happened is that after working in the lipid lab as an undergraduate student, graduate study, I went to the RNA lab. As Steve Jobs once in the Stanford speech said that you cannot connect the dots in front just when looking back. So, working with delivering DNA with the liposome and then going to the RNA lab and making RNA, it was not obvious at that time that, oh, one day we need liposome deliver RNA to the cells. And my professor there, actually, he synthesized one part of the mRNA and sent colleagues as a reference material. So I learned many things about mRNA at that point, but my fellow student was János Ludwig, and I'm mentioning to you this because it is very important that you get good relation with your fellow students, and you are going to study something, and you follow what that student is doing, because that's not enough. That, oh, he was good at basketball. Because later on, maybe in life, doing something very exciting and important for you. And so it is good that you know that scientifically how it proceeds. And even today, if I have an organic scientific question, I ask János for advice. So what happens, life goes on. And I am working in the laboratory, and I happened to marry my husband in 1980. So 43 years we are married. And so what happened is that I get my PhD, And I get a little girl, my daughter, Susan. And so, you know, that when you are scientists, this is a difficult time. I don't know, somebody here in the government, so just to listen, that I could go back to work because we had in Hungary at that time high quality, affordable childcare. So if the government is listening, that's an important part. Maybe you have already here in Taiwan. And so what happened is we were in still Hungary, but I lost my job in 1985. I was 30 years old. Actually, it was my birthday when I received that I get terminated. And I can tell you that I wouldn't be here talking to you if 4 times in my life I was not kicked out from a job. One lesson. When you are fired or you terminated, it is other people's decision. And do not spend time to feel sorry for yourself and saying, you know, licking your wound and saying that, oh, other people were worse, why me? All of your energy, you have to focus on what to do next, because that's your decision. Somebody else decided you have to go, but your decision where to go. So that's a first important lesson. So don't let others to define. And so I was terminated in Hungary, so I went to the United States. And here is my daughter, was 2.5 years old when we arrived. And I started to work at Temple University. Please ignore that sometimes I don't have safety goggles and gloves or even coat, but this is what happened. This picture, I hardly have picture taken in the laboratory, and it was not smiling just because somebody's taking a picture. Yeah? I was happy. I was happy in the lab doing exciting research. And so I worked at Temple University in Philadelphia for 3 years, and then Uniform Service University of Health Sciences. That was a long name. And that's a military medical school in Bethesda, Maryland, in the US. And yes, and then in 1989, I started to work and went to University of Pennsylvania. And there, Alice Kuo, she said that please say hello to all of the girls. She graduated from your school. And in 1963, and from Taipei University, she graduated in 67, yeah? And so she told me that, Kati, you have to wear green dress, a green shirt. And so even today, she sent me a message that what was the response that I talk here. And there is a picture of her on the left when she was here in your high school. And the other is with her grandmother and father when she graduated from the university in Taiwan. So we started the mRNA together with Alice and Elliot Barnathan, who happened to be just 8 days younger than me. So I convinced him that we have to do mRNA research. And here is, we did this urokinase receptor responsible for making the blood won't clot in the vessel. But you can hear more about in the afternoon lecture. So I worked cardiology there when I was 40 years old, and I was demoted from my faculty position. I can say all of these things, and people talk behind me that how unsuccessful I was. I have to say that I was happy in the lab, and I was full control when I did the experiments. Yeah? It was just, the measures, the publication, and the grant support, which was not there. So I lost my job once there, and David Langer, who happened to be a medical student when I was in Elliot's lab, and all medical students are obnoxious, and they know everything, but I was very patient, and it paid, because later when I lost job, he convinced the chairman of neurosurgery that neurosurgery department needs a molecular biologist, and this is how I get a job for 17 more years, thanks to this student who became, now is his chairman. Actually, if you have Netflix, you can watch this David Langer, who is now heading chairman of the largest neurosurgery department in the United States. And the Netflix series is the Lenox Hill. And now they have a new one in New York. And you can, this is a showing that how they do surgeries and other things. And and of course, I happened to meet Drew Weissman in 1997 at the Xerox machine, because at that time, digitally, we couldn't download the papers. So sometimes it's good that the technology is not advancing so quickly, because if by 1997 I download, I wouldn't meet him. So you have to go to the Xerox machine sometimes. So yes, time flies, and my little daughter became a big girl, and she's a 2-time Olympic champion. So she got a gold medal in Beijing in rowing, in the women 8, you can see on the lower left. And she got in London another gold medal in the US women 8. And she was 5 times world champion in rowing. She got also in pairs and in 8. I have to say that I usually not coming to a celebration like yesterday, the tongue prize, where I was in the spotlight. I used to went to when my daughter was in the spotlight. She was inducted to the Hall of Fame and some. And when they introduced me, they always say, Susan, Mom, that was me. Now that sometimes she's coming with me for award ceremonies, and she is introduced Kati's daughter. So, and again, in 2013, just 10 years ago, oops, I lost my job. I was kicked out from University of Pennsylvania because I didn't bring in the money. And so at 58 years old, decided that I have to go with the RNA, which I was investigating for decades. I have to do and have to get to the clinic. And so decided to go to Germany. So once I was Hungary, I migrated to the US, and now I am back to Germany. And people thought in the US that I am not complete, because people usually, for the biotech, they are going from Europe to US. And from the US, now I am going to Europe in a company, BioNTech, which was not having that fancy building on the right. That's green also. But, it was just on a campus. But I was convinced that, I can do help. And Ugur Sahin and his wife established BioNTech, and they hired me. And there's just a handful of people were there 10 years ago. Today, 5,000 people work there in 10 years. Yeah? And so I have to say that students sometimes approach me. Here is Norbert, for example. When I went back to Hungary, they want to know what I am doing. So I'm just telling you that if you know some scientists coming back, and you can talk. What happened, we talked here 2007, he was a graduate student, and by 2011, he was doing the surgeries in our laboratory in the US. So that, you get to know people, and maybe you end up somewhere else. And so just saying that. And so I thought that, 50 years ago, I graduated high school, so I can say some advice to you, what is important in life. So actually, it is important to love your work, but most important is that you have to have physical and mental health. So I could see you have a big yard here. I can see you can exercise there, play basketball and tennis and all of these. And the mental health, I will talk about later on, because if I would not read the Hans Scheier book about how to handle stress, again, I would not be here. So I can help you on that. But you have to love your work. And your goal, if you became a scientist, for example, to understand nature, not the advancement of position. Because if you see my position, I went down, down, down. Yeah? I was still happy, and I was very happy with the data, and it was very strong. It was just authorities did not give grant money for that. So happiness is important. You can see I am smiling. And it is also important that you be modest, because the success is not always what it seems. So, as I mentioned, Hans Scheyer was born in Hungary, and then we sent a letter in high school to him because we couldn't speak English, and he was Hungarian. And Hans Scheyer coined the word stress in 1930s. Prior to that, it was only in the physics. And he showed that stress can kill you, but depending on how you perceive it. And interestingly, he also said that without stress, your life is meaningless. You need positive stress. The excitement, the anticipation, like that today we will meet here, you know. You get up and you were eating breakfast and thinking about what we will learn today. So you need positive stress, but you have to learn how to change the negative stress to the positive one. And it is very important that you have to learn these changes by always focusing on what you can do. Not what your mom, your principal, or the teachers should do, what you can do. Because you cannot change other people. And in life also, you know, you expect that your neighbor, your boss, your government, or something should do. And you cannot influence much. But you just decided what you can do. And so not wasting your time on things that you cannot change. It is for young students like you are, it's very important to, okay. Hans Scheyer said that stress can be released by, you know, you are very angry with somebody, revenge, you know, just stuff in the back or something. But he said it's not advisable because it fights back and it will be also bitter for you. He said, gratitude, that's good. Yeah. But it is a little bit exclusive, the one thing, you know, feeling for somebody, revenge, and then you are grateful, but you always find something, gratefulness for things. And so he said also that what people are doing, like maybe you are doing, I don't know, you can nod and then I would know, that you are comparing yourself to your fellow students. And at that point, you always somehow feel that, you know, maybe the other is more advancing, whereas you work harder, and so that it bothers you. And so he suggested don't do that. Don't compare. You don't know even the other person maybe is studying more and whatnot. You focus on what you can change. Because how the other is advancing and whatnot, is you cannot change. But you can focus on your responsibilities and your studies, and then you can work on that and not, you know, comparing. Also, it is important that you don't work or do things for you know, to feel gratitude or for the school or for the workplace, for the boss or something, because you know that you work to understand things, and very important that at the end you have to be happy. Yeah. So that's, you always have to ask this question, because I mentioned that in the aeroplane, when the mask is coming down, you know, is always you have to put first the oxygen to yourself, and then you can help child or somebody else. So that unless you are happy, not happy, you have to be happy to be able to help others. So it is very important. And many things, he published a couple of books and emphasized. And, you know, you have to practice these things, that somebody is nasty to you and how you can make it positive, you know, and how to learn from it. But you can do it. Yes, the other thing is, can you imagine? So I went to this little room, you know, with my sister and my parents. We one room. I was in the first 10 years in my life. And then, of course, you know, ending up in an Ivy League school and University of Pennsylvania, where people are publishing Nature, Science, top journals, and how you would comprehend that all of these people, actually 30,000 people work there, that they are, everybody's English is perfect, everything. And then you are coming there, and from this small town, and I will come up with something they don't think. Somehow, you have to believe that with hard work, you can reach that goal. And of course, you know, seems like plan is always simple, and then of course there will be a lot of threat, but it is important that you have to believe in yourself. If you think that, oh, it might not, don't even start. You have to believe that with hard work, I can reach my goals, okay? You don't not, you know, sometimes do that, so I know that you get it. And how you can advance and what you can do is you have to get out of that comfort zone. Right now, your parents are taking care of you. You know, you don't have to worry about house insurance. You don't worry about many, many things. But you know, you have to move out and you have to go where things may be not comfortable because you don't know things, and we don't really like when so many things changing around us, but that's the fear zone. You get out from it, and that will be the learning zone. And you will be more confident, you learn more, and when you learn more and you are performing better, then you gain back your confidence, and you will be happy. And so that's what my suggestion to you. Yes, so people told me that, Kati, tell me that how to be successful, you know. I mean, how, you know, if 10 years ago when I was terminated in my position, nobody would say that I am successful, yeah? So it is difficult to say. So different people define differently. So Churchill said that the success is the ability to go one failure to the other without losing the enthusiasm. So this is about scientists. If you want to be a scientist, you have to learn constantly that, you know, things fail, and then you just gather yourself and try again and try again. And meanwhile, you are enthusiastic because you think that, oh, if I fix that problem, I fix things. And of course, and Corner said that, you know, you have to come out this comfort zone to be successful. And many people think that happiness is coming from the success, but others says is backward. That actually happiness is the key to success. So you have to be happy. And here, actually, the Laszlo Barabashi told me, Kati, don't think that your success right now is not about you. I said, okay. He said, you know, you made some performance. The success is how the people perceive it. So that made me, you know, relax. And what I would say, here is my daughter. She was 7 years old, and she came home from school. She just finished 2nd grade, and she finished the year and started to write a letter. And I said, well, what are you writing? And she said, oh, I have to say, Mrs. Wilson, that I learned so much in this year. And she couldn't see this from me because I never sent a letter. So here is a message for me, for you, is that from time to time, please say thank you to your parents, to your teachers, and all of those people who help you on your journey. So when I am now is, you know, going from different events and get awards, you know, here in the right is David Langer, now is, you know, not a young medical student, and there is Alice. When I got an award in New York, they came, and then my Hungarian teacher, when I went back to Hungary, I invited them for the award ceremonies, and so I told them thank you in this way. And now is my daughter there, and I have grandchildren there, and so they help me a lot. And today, you know what I am doing. I wrote a book about my life story, and this is coming out. This is on the right in this year, and also try to inspire the next generation. So there are some children books. I didn't write them. On the lower left, there is me, and Drew Weissman is doing some experiment there, and so I try to inspire the next generation of scientists and young girls like you are here, and I'm very thankful to my families and my daughter, and all of those people. And I have to say that when award ceremony I received, usually I also say thanks to the people who try to make my life miserable. Because without them, I wouldn't be so resilient. They made them work harder, and then I am also thankful for that. So, and now today I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karikó, for your interesting stories. I'm sure it will inspire all the students here to pursue their own passion.
Okay.
Next is the session when the youth meet the master.
Okay.
Teacher Yi Xu will be the host of this session. Teacher Xu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Xinyu. Good morning. Yonap, Dr. Karikó, Principal Chen, Director Hu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Q&A session. My name is Xu Yi, and as a biology teacher, I am very privileged and happy to receive a last-minute invitation to be your mediator today. And first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Karikó for her fascinating keynote speech and her long-term research on mRNA. The vaccines she and her team have developed epitomize how a scientist's passion for research can shield the whole world from a pandemic. If it weren't for the vaccines, we might not be able to gather here in person today. Nayo Seban Kusunik. Thank you so much. And I'd like to extend our gratitude to the Tang Prize Foundation for holding this symposium. It is the efforts like this that spark the curiosity of the young minds and encouraging them to delve into the world of scientific discovery. So today, we have 3 young scientists on stage with us who have notable experiences in laboratory work and independent research in biology, chemistry, and physics. Yeah, welcome. And we have Jenny Li, Lina Lai from Taipei First Girls High School. We have Raymond Lin from Jianguo Senior High School. Welcome. Our session will commence with a few questions and answers on stage before we open the floor to our audience for more Q&As. Shall we get started?
Yeah.
我们现在就开始今天的 Q&A.
Thank you, Dr. Karikó, for a lovely sharing of your childhood. It's very exciting to have you here and talk in person with you because I read about you in a book called Shot to Save the World. It's about COVID-19 background stories about those vaccines. And you are one of the scientists that inspired me the most, and I would like to know more about which scientists that inspired you the most in your life of scientific studying.
Yeah, so I mentioned that learning Shaya's book, and so it gave me some guidance, you know, that because it's so difficult to navigate, you know, in life, that what to do, and somehow if I thought about it, I always could make a decision, and so otherwise in scientists, I mean, I had great teachers, and I respect them very much, and so those were my own mentors, and learning from them. that was for me very important. And now that when I'm going back, as I mentioned, invite them. So actually on Monday, I also have a big gathering in Hungary. My teachers will be there. So that's important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karikó. As we have seen in your speech, we have saw a lot of scientists you introduced us. Thank you. And let's go moving on to our next participant.
Hello, Dr. Karikó. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude and admiration toward you for giving such a thought-provoking presentation. And your research on mRNA is a really long road. And you've collaborated with many scientists from different fields. And from this experience, what experience would you want to share with us about your barriers or impressing points?
So it seemed that many experiments failed, but it was when first we could deliver messenger RNA to the cells, and then the cell which expressed the protein, which had a very complex, modified and whatnot, and to be functional, and we could see that it was functional, then we were thinking about, oh, messenger RNA will be good for cell therapy, like, for example, bone marrow transplantation. Right now, just young people can give because the tip of the chromosome is short for the older people. And I made RNA to extend the tip of the chromosome, and we tried. And then, other people left the field because they couldn't get money. And I didn't mind that position was low and the salary was low, because I was excited with the result. And then we could see improve the RNA, improve the formulation of the RNA, better delivery. And we could see now that in an animal, we could see the translated protein. We could detect the biological effect. And it gives, as mice is just 3,000 times smaller, and we are, but you see something in a mice and you think that maybe in human maybe also would work, and so that even if you don't have any grant support or something, and outside people don't value what you are doing, but you can see the potential, then you should proceed, even everything against you, and that's what I was doing. So I could see that, and actually, I never wanted to make vaccine. And Peter Coulis, you could see that he's a physicist. He wanted to make membrane just to make measurements. And Drew Weissman was the only one who wanted to make vaccine. And of course, I was disappointed when the RNA was inflammatory, because I want to use for treating the patient who has stroke and other disease, and you don't want inflammation for them. And so that was, we went to understand why it is inflammatory, whether we can make it non-inflammatory. So we didn't know that you can make a non-inflammatory RNA. That was the critical point why we get many of the award and acknowledgement. And finally, when we could make it and published in 2005, that was I referenced that Drew, who is a very quiet person, he said, tomorrow everybody will call us, and nobody called, not that day, not the next day, not the next year, not up until 2011, nobody cared. And, but we went on, and further improvement we made, and somehow you have in a driven within, that you know that it is good, and you might not be able to explain to others. Of course, I learned English when I was 18, when I went to the university. But even Drew Weissman, who's American, couldn't get grants. So that it was not the language problem, it was just the people thought that the RNA is degraded immediately and useless. So I don't know whether I answered your question, but.
I think it's a pity that we are so far behind you. You are just very far ahead of us. Just like Barbara McClintock, when she found transposable elements in maize, and nobody understood her.
Yeah.
I think it's this a similar situation.
Yeah,
Here,
so usually that, you know, that people get different awards. When I talk, you know, they said that, oh, nobody believed, no, and they will just keep doing things.
It's quite lonely because I think researching science is like a long and winding road that leads to uncertainty. Nobody knows what would happen, but we are so glad we found it.
I have to say that my daughter, I mentioned rowing. I don't know, do you know the rowers? They go backwards. They don't see the finish line. I told her that science is like that. I don't even know that I'm going to the right direction, you know. Not that I'm, where is the finish line? So it is like the science is like that. You don't know that you can achieve something. You just believe that, and meanwhile you learn so much and build on it. And of course, you know, we built on science done for hundreds of years prior to us, because that's what science builds on science. And what I was doing, I didn't know that whether I can see in my life that it will be useful, but I thought that maybe, you know, somebody, maybe the next generation, you guys will take on and put, you know, and make it happen that it will be useful for some people, what we are discovering.
Thank you for the insightful response. And based on what we have discussed, Raymond, do you have a question for our panel?
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Karikó for your really inspiring speech, and it is my honor to meet and talk with you. So from your lecture, you mentioned that your mRNA research has ups and downs, and that many scientists at that time do not appreciate your work, or maybe not many funding agencies are willing to support your work. But now the time is changing, and like in our world, we have to face many reality concerns, like about funding, like about parents' expectations. So what will be your advice for future researchers facing the same predicament?
Yeah, so I have to say that I received several honorary doctorate, and I'm meeting with other awardees and whatnot, and I learned from them, and now that they are going to the grant meetings, they are looking for the proposal which is so out of the line, you know, because what happened is that what they say that the people, you know, where the money, the prestige and everything, they tend to submit proposal for that. Right now it is the mRNA, because that's, you can get a lot of money for grant money. And then there are in the periphery where is no prestige, no money, nothing. Yeah, some people is working, you know, diligently, just like I did for 2-3 decades. And then they are, one thing is for them, is they said, is the freedom. That they free to something to research, what they want. But otherwise they don't get paid and nobody respect them and so on. But so that when I meet people with now that they said that they are going out and make sure that now that give money to those who seems like, you know, proposing something which is not conventional, and it seems like a little bit weird. So that, because it's difficult from our part to change, because you write, I thought that that's for example, you get submitting a grant proposal and comes back and they say that, you know, and you immediately say, oh, these people are stupid, they don't understand. And then you have to say, oh, okay, don't understand. Probably what I should do, write better, you know, I didn't express myself well. Or, you know, you always have to see that what you can change. And then I resubmitted and so on, but, you know, eventually, maybe one day I would get a grant, but not happened.
Thank you, Dr. Karikó, for a really inspiring answer. Yeah. So my next question is that you've been interested in plants when you were young, and my own independent study is also in plant immune system. So out of my curiosity, I would like to ask that if mRNA therapy in the future can probably be used not only in humans but also in plant defense mechanisms, like maybe transcribing proteins that can harm pests to help our crops grow better.
Actually, RNA is used at present for potato. They have double-stranded RNA, and they spray on the potato because you don't eat the leaves. You eat what is under the ground, and it is not sprayed. And when the potato bug is eating, that double-stranded RNA contains sequences which makes the intestinal cell to die, and those animals will die. So they don't eat the potato plant. That's already in a trial. There are actually the CRISPR-Cas9 process is already used to generate, actually in Japan, already tomato, which had higher value of certain nutritions, already generated, and it is already approved consumption. And there will be more like, the grass which won't grow that fast. So in US, they don't have to cut the grass, but they don't have to water it because it's water resistant. But this, every time it is knocking out genes, is inserting something which would, then it is not approved. But interrupting genes is with Cas9 and other. But the other is double-stranded RNA sprayed on the potato field. And let the bugs eat that, or the larvae, actually. The potato bug larvae eats the plants. Actually, when I was a little girl, we were not using pesticide or something. My parents told me that I have to pick up those bugs and collected them in a container. Yeah, you did that also? By hands, yeah. By hands, yeah. I mean, it's nice. It has black and white stripes, yeah. And then, but the pinky one was a sticky. And then the end of it, I give it to the chicken, and they love that. And so that's how we did a simple way. But right now is double-stranded RNA sprayed on the leaves.
Thank you.
It seems that mRNA techniques can be applied to all organisms.
Yes,
almost.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, they are actually also in Japan. They already approved to use for CRISPR-Cas9 fish they generated, which grows much faster. And so that other organism is used, and not just for research, but for consumption.
Most important of all, we got the vaccines. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, more vaccine is coming right now. I can say that more than 150 clinical trials is running using mRNA. Many of them is vaccines, so HIV, several HIV trials, HIV, I don't know how they call it here. HIV, the HIV?
AIDS, yes. For AIDS.
For AIDS, yeah, HIV and Zika virus.
Zika virus.
Also, clinical trial is running. Herpes virus, bacteria, also for yeah, I mean, for pathogen, still I might mention the bacteria because the TB trial is running by BioNTech. Also, the for Lyme disease to Borrelia bacteria, so that you don't get Lyme disease. There are also malaria clinical trials running, which is a parasite. And in addition, cancer vaccines. There are all biotechnology company and even large companies are running now that cancer vaccine trial, and not just vaccine, but the RNA can code for cytokines, which I also participated, where injecting into the tumor will invite the immune cells there, and then they figure out what to see. And beside that, you will see expanding to for mRNA using for tolerization for different kind of allergies, like peanut allergy or dust mite allergy already is development. And so for heart disease, actually 2008 already was using well before, the COVID messenger RNA injected to the heart, generating new blood vessels and help to circulation and the function of the heart. It was already in clinical trial. And you don't know, but many people didn't know, because 10 years ago, you didn't come to the mRNA meeting to Tübingen, Germany. But if you would come, you would know already that clinical trial, every year we have this meeting, clinical trials, even for infectious disease using mRNA, was already tested out. Moderna ran an influenza trial, for example, and Zika virus, 2 Zika virus trials prior to COVID. And CureVac ran for rabies virus trial. Just, you know, it was 200 people were involved, not 200 million.
We are so happy to know that we are going to live a very better life in the future. Mm-hmm. Nina?
So, Dr. Karikó, you and Dr. Weissman found a way to modify mRNA. So it was no longer inflammatory in 2005. And one interesting fact that you and Dr. Weissman tried to found a mRNAX company. Could you please elaborate more on this reason behind starting a company? And are there any lessons for us from your experiences?
Yes. So in 2005, in the United States, what happened that with Drew Weissman, we said to the technology transfer office that we want this modification, the uridine had to be modified, so we want everybody to use it, so we don't want to patent. But they said that if you don't make a patent, then nobody will use it, because when a company invests a lot of money to the clinical trial, you know, millions and billions, and then they come to the conclusion, if they don't have a patent, then anybody at that point jump in and they can run away with it. And all of the cost has to be swallowed, the first who started. So, okay, then we said, okay, then we have to patent, okay. And then when we patented and then we published the paper, can come out, and then, this, based on this patent, made a company. And it was 2006. I was already demoted. I was, not too happy that university there, and so I thought that I will just go out with this company. I was the CEO of company, and we wrote a business plan. The business plan was that used erythropoietin mRNA to treat anemia. You guys, if you follow the bike race, you know what EPO, erythropoietin, all of the cheaters is using to endurance sport, you increase the red blood cells count, yeah? And so, but the anemic person has very low level of red blood cells, so that erythropoietin is used when people had kidney failure and their kidney is not producing enough. So what is interesting is you don't need a big needle to go to the kidney to put the mRNA for EPO. Anywhere, under the skin, in the muscle, wherever you injected the mRNA, translated, and it was functional protein. And the animal, what we could show is was made, hematocrit increased, because they made more red blood cells. And so even the mRNA is very short-lived, even when we modify it, it's 4 days maybe present, and then it translates to a protein like the erythropoietin. It is 2 hours and degrades. But then you get the red blood cells, which maybe 100 days is around. So the effect is much longer. So it depends on, and some protein, mRNA code, some protein could be 6 months half-life. Extracellular matrix protein, which is outside the cell, is usually very long-lived. So the mRNA gone, but the protein could be there long. And so that we did this company and submitted a business proposal, and there is in the United States, there is a, you can get a business grant, small company grant. That was the only grant. We get $1 million, which is quite significant. That was the only grant ever I received. And we used the money, to figure out how to purify the RNAs, further improve. But the university, because at university you have a patent, university gives somebody else. You don't own the patent, the university owns, so the university give it to another company. And if you have a company and you don't own patent, that's a shell. So that's why you are talking about other companies, but not RNARX, because you know, we couldn't, the company without a patent is not existing. So that's how it happened. So otherwise, making a company is easy. I mean, it had to be registered in Delaware, and you need $300. But, you know, you have to have the patent, and the patent had to be registered different place, so that's, you know, could be $100,000. But, you know, but you need time for that. And you can rent in a small incubator place that, like big universities, has research files, so you don't have to buy a refrigerator and different equipment. You just say, oh, I need 2 meters, I need an incubator and something, and then you pay for monthly for that, or 6 months. So you can start a company. And I also said my colleagues, you know, when in Germany were you know, saying that, oh, I should do that. I said, oh, just make a company and do that. You know, when you try to do that, what Ugur Sahin did with BioNTech, you know, I could watch that how difficult to, you know, make a company and run and make always the decision, the right decision. And of course, you never know, but you try your best.
There are just too many details to take care of. Yeah, just like we say in German, so ein Pech. Das ist schwer. It's difficult.
Yes.
Jenny?
Okay. I'm just going to ask you that what are the main differences you find between studying in a college lab and in a company, but you have shared a lot?
Yeah, I have to say that for me, in a university, you know, what is that?
The ring for the class. We have classes for.
Oh yeah, okay.
12
okay, it's not for us.
Not
okay.
for us.
Okay. So what happened in the university? The goal was that more paper, you know, promotion and other things, which because I was not very successful, so is not very meaningful for me. And when I went to the company, one thing counted, what was important, that we have to make a product which is helping somebody. Otherwise, we can all go home and close down, yeah? So this was more meaningful, and in the university setting, everybody competes against the other, and the company, who cares about the name, we have to work, all of us together, because we have to develop something, and everybody had to put the best in it. So for me, it was very refreshing to be at company, because the goals were more meaningful. It was meaningful. Other places, it was like, you know, more paper, and nobody reads, maybe. Yeah.
I see.
And it was interesting also, I might mention, you know, I was studying in Hungary, I was in Germany, I was in the US, and then seeing that why in the US is so great at the universities, yeah? And what happened is that in the United States, those who are teaching at the university, there is no research institute. The universities, the best scientists are teaching. And what happened is that in Europe, there are research institutes, the best scientists are in the research institute, and who's at the university, there are good universities, but you know, they are not the front researchers who are teaching. And it happened to me also, you know, sometimes some teachers, you know, teaching what they learned 10 years ago, and that's what they're teaching. But what in the United States is this competition, of course, but that those are teaching who are doing the best science. And of course, if somebody's teaching how to make a company and never made one, you know, it's just imaginary. But somebody who tried several times and failed and tried different things is more like to have more insight and teaching better.
That's a very helpful advice.
Are you thinking to establishing a company?
That's my dream, but I don't think I will do that.
Not yet, but
not yet.
It's coming.
Mm-hmm. So those were some profound questions and answers. Now let's open up our floor to our audience. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask? 我们现在开放现场问答。This is a very rare chance that you can speak to a
Never
very
returning opportunity.
important scientist. And it happens to me that today is August the 2nd. As we know that August is abbreviated to AUG. And AUG is the start codon for translation. It is so related to mRNA.
Yeah, it is the mRNA day was yesterday, actually, day August 1st, because AUG.
So,
but I don't know whether you in school you learn that how they discover the code. You know, they use the homopolymer, like a poly U. And you know that if at that time the people would know, oh, start codon AUG, and the UUU doesn't have AUG, how can I translate? Yeah. Oh. So. Because, you know, whatever I learn in school, the rules, none of them really 100% that the way it is.
Yeah, so we have to
leaky,
step out.
Everything is leaky.
Yeah, we have to step out of our comfort zone. Just like me, I'm in my fear zone now. And who would like to have a very good start?
Yeah.
The lady here from TFG.
Hello, my name is Meredith, and I'm from TFG. Yeah, and I have a question to ask Dr. Karikó. So, as a scientist, what do you consider to be the most important personality trait when doing research? And how can high school students who are interested in doing academic research develop this personality trait? Thank you.
What the high school students should
so academic research.
So you know, high school student couldn't come to university lab because for 1 week they had to make training that, you know, accident. So it is very, but you can do so many different simple experiment yourself, you know, that, I mean, it started in even elementary school. I remember when we had the ducks, and then you remember that how, you know, that how nice shiny green feather they have. And then you smoothen out and everything is gray. And you look at your finger, it's no green. What happened to the green? And turn out it is just, you know, it is not really green. It's just breaking the light because it is like a prism. So that you can do so many observation by, you know, not really doing experiments, but we put in high school, we did experiments. Okay, I have to say, elementary school, I wrote my first essay on science. And this was, I was writing about Linné, who made the Carl von Linné. He was born like 300 years ago, Swedish scientist who made a Latin name for each Latin name for each plant and each animals.
Taxonomy, classification of organisms.
Yes, so that you know, I mean, that's maybe why I am very organized. Maybe because 14 years old I was studying Linné, but I was doing experiments in high school, and we did like how the seed is growing out, how the seed, when you have a bean, for example, and knows that, you know, the roots, where is the earth? When you turn upside down and a little thing, you know that it's still going backwards. How, you know, that different things that why you don't see an apple seed inside the apple to come out, and we tested out what inhibits germination, and so kind of we did the chlorophyll experiments, and just or why some plants survive the frozen, or you don't have here anything frozen because there's no snow here. But, you know, different, very simple thing. And observation. I like observation of, like a bird shit is white, and then you wonder, why is it that any animal makes white feces, shit, and then why it is white? What is white? You know, that very simple, it's a simple question you ask, and not very complicated. You don't try to learn the tricarbon cycle or something too complicated. It's not worse, but just like wonder about simple things.
Thank you, Dr. Karikó.
Some of our students here in high schools, they are privileged to go to university to learn some advanced techniques. Like our participants on stage, they all go to university or to Academia Sinica for further studies.
Oh, that's great, because in our lab in the United States, they did not let even somebody not even underage, like under 18, wouldn't allow to come to the lab because it's a dangerous chemicals and whatnot. And if it is somebody 20 years old and would say, I want to volunteer, I don't need money, but then you have to have health insurance, who is responsible? And 1-2 weeks, you just go for all of these tests to pass. And so it is not easy.
It's not. So I think
so you are lucky. You are lucky here. Be careful with chemicals.
Any other questions? The lady in the middle, please. Please use microphone.
Hi, Dr. Karikó. I'm a student from TFG, and I want to ask, after you have the success in your mRNA research, what are you going to do next?
Yeah, so people are asking me, what am I doing in these days? I said, mostly I am on aeroplane and airports, because, you know, accepting an award, so it for me is a big distraction. I never been in the spotlight, and I never craved that. I can tell you that if you want to be in the spotlight, then be an actress or actor, because then you can be constantly there. If you like to solve problems, you know, science is good for you. If you like to follow instruction, maybe go to the military. So you have to find a path. But, you know, if you want to think and quietly and solving problem, then science is good. So all of a sudden, you know, in the last 2 years, I was just rushed in the spotlight, and I have to say something, and I try to find what should I talk about. And one thing was, you know, talking about science, because the knowledge what scientists doing in the laboratories and what the average person knows about science, the gap is huge, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And so there are this gap filled by some people who spread misinformation, and we have to fight that. And so I try to answer questions and also to say that what the scientists are doing, so talking about that was very important. And so that's what I am doing, but hopefully people will run out of prizes, and then I can go back and focus, you know, on more research things. Even these days, I have to say that I try to keep up with the knowledge, because I remember when I went to once in a lecture, and not once actually happened, not just once, and I expected somebody to talk about very important things, and then it turned out that the person was not reading anymore, and I don't want to be that one. So I want to make sure that I check what is the latest news, because you ask me what happened yesterday, and then I don't read, and you know that, oh, Kati is not following science anymore. So that, so these days, in the last 2 years, mostly I was, talking and try to educate and inspire the people, because we need more scientists. It's a stamp, that less and less people are applying to, they want to be influencer or something, but not scientists. And we need more scientists, because there are so many very important problems to solve, understand, and diseases that we don't know the treatment, because we don't even know that what is the mechanism of action, what is causing that disease, and very serious diseases, and we need you, to be scientists. Yeah. So, but in that time also I was, writing the book and try to also helping, several quotes from Shaya in the book, and try to show it that, yeah, it seems like I was struggling in my life, but I was happy. So don't look at the science that, oh, it is just day and night. If you feel that, oh, at the weekend I was in the lab because I wanted to be there, because I had an idea, and that I felt this urge that that will be the solution. So, but if you don't feel that, then it's not worth doing, because then you are not happy. You have to be happy, healthy and happy.
We thank you very much for stepping out of the laboratory to be with us, because the lives of scientists are always discreet, just like your team partner, Dr. Weissman. He is a quiet scientist, but when I saw the video clip on YouTube, I admire him a lot.
Yeah, so Drew, his wife said once that he is limited how many words in a day he can say. But when we were in the lab and we had to look at the result, we cut each other's words, because we were just so eager to try to explain that what we are seeing is what it is. So he was a different person then.
So traveling could be tiring, and under spotlight it's hot. So, ladies and gentlemen, please cherish your chances to have your questions. I see a lady there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, hi, Dr. Karikó and Karikó, and my name is Chelsea. I am going to be a student in Taipei First Girls High School. You just mentioned that you later applied your research results to clinical trials. When there is a difference between theory and reality, how do you deal with this situation? Thank you.
I mean, for testing out anything in human is very restricted what you can proceed. You have to generate a lot of data in animal studies. And of course, in mice and the human is very different. We just learned from the RNA, the conventional RNA is not toxic for mice that much. And not even for monkeys. The monkey is more similar to the mice than to human. And so, unless you're doing, and it is, it depends on the human trial, what you are treating a disease, which is a patient who is terminally ill, and they sign up for a different kind of testing material, because in clinical trial, you test out different materials based on some animal studies which you presented to the authorities, and answered all of the questions, did all of those control experiment to make sure that you don't hurt anybody, just help, and maybe you are not sure, because that's why you are doing the trial. And you might have some theories, and you can see that how many trials is stopped because actually people might die from it. So that there is a monitoring, there is a system set up for that, which correct. And for science, I have to say that when people say that, oh, Kati, what should I believe? One scientist says that, the other scientist says something else. Which scientist knows the truth? I try to emphasize that the science is a self-correcting, so that more experiment and more knowledge is collected, and then it corrects that, okay, maybe people not cheating, it is just they look at data and they think differently, and another person think otherwise that could be explained, and you know, criticism is very good in science. I mean, I make a hypothesis and I try to poke holes on my hypothesis to turn it over. And I remember when I went to the United States, Duesberg was there, who was a member of the Academy, and then he was a famous virologist, and he said that AIDS is not caused by HIV virus, not the virus. And so people looked at more data they generated, they looked at and more data proved that actually that's really the virus is causing the. And of course, if the scientist is still insisting, then it is, you know, is counterproductive and nobody is listening. But the criticism is always good. You know, we ourselves always criticize the process and try to make it better. So I don't know, did you ask that or kind of? So there is a process there. And of course, vaccinate a 6 years old healthy child, or vaccinate, cancer vaccinate somebody who is terminally ill, you know, and try to help them. So the requirement is quite very different because the consequences.
Thank you, Dr. Karikó.
Please, lady in white. Oh, from the affiliated senior high school of NTNU.
Okay.
Hi, Dr. Karikó. Actually, working or being a researcher of biotech is one of my dreams. And I wanted to ask, like, what is the difference between working in the States and in Germany? I mean, about the atmosphere. Thank you.
So, you know, the BioNTech is quite an international company. When I am not working there, so I cannot help much, but still, I can recommend you. So that there is 57 different nationality from 57 different countries people work there. So it is kind of international company, even if it is Germany. And I don't speak German, so you don't have to learn that. But so it was, everybody was speaking there in English, and it was maybe, I didn't work for a biotechnology company in the United States, so I don't know exactly, but there was like different units, and everybody advertising like a job that what they need. So maybe you are very, you know, when people said, oh, I can make RNA, I mean, at BioNTech, it's not, everybody can make RNA, and there is a service there. But you know, that different knowledge you have, and maybe that's what they need. So that doesn't mean if they reject you for something that because you are not good. It is just they need different kind of expertise. So that, but there are, I mean, going to the United States is also a good option, I can say, because you know, many biotechnology companies are there, and it was, you know, the culture, what you learn is, but I think that maybe Germany is just the same way. It is very international. So it is good to go away, and just like in the tales, you know, that the guys is with a little package goes to, you know, and try out, And there's, of course, the little package next village is already gone, and then he relies on his talent. And that's what you challenge yourself, and you realize, oh my God, I can do that. And so that's, you go in somewhere else, and you put out of the comfort zone, and then you return here to Taiwan, and then you know, all of your knowledge, what you gain and learn, then you teach and help others. So that's how it should work.
Thank you.
Just like Dr. Karikó implies us that only if we keep our mental and physical health, we can do well everywhere in the world.
And be happy when what you are doing.
Yeah. And
no, but we have more questions. Okay.
The lady wear jeans?
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Yo-Yo Shi. I'm from TFG. I have a question that you said that others decided that you have to go and you have to change where you go. But since maybe during your journey there's ups and downs, and you've mRNA can't brought you instant profit or any goods. Why did you choose don't change your aim? Just still, you still choose to research and search for other techniques in mRNA. Why is it mRNA?
So what happened is in Hungary, when I was already worked with RNA on this, when I went from the lipid lab, I synthesized RNA. Those were short RNA molecule had antiviral effect. And then for that process, you know, I have to use enzymes which modify the RNA, phosphorylate, ligate, kinase, all kind of things. So you learn how to work with the RNA material. And then when I lost the job and I went to Temple University in the United States, again, the laboratory I went to the RNA lab because I had some publication, and what I could do an essay, the professor Suhadolnyik there, my boss who hired me, wanted to establish that essay in his lab, so he hired me. Then again, we work with a different kind of RNA. Actually, in 1986, we ran a clinical trial. We treated HIV patients with double-stranded RNA. So it was always RNA, short RNA, longer RNA, double-stranded, which has two-strand RNA. And we treated patients. We tried to induce their interferon system. It failed. But, you know, you work and learn more about one type of material. And then I started to work with mRNA, because at that point we could do it. From 1985, we could make messenger RNA. And so I started with mRNA. I could label it, I could ligate, I could kinase, all of this enzyme, because I knew already. So that I had this knowledge, and then I could see that delivering the RNA, because I already undergraduate student, I was already delivering nucleases, so that delivering and improving that and learning more and try to reach out for help, but it didn't really help me. Most of the things I developed on my own. And so it was because that's how it is. You know, there could be a very boring subject, let's say, taxing the people, okay? And you'll start to learn how different countries are doing, you know, and finally you will be a tax expert and you will start to like it. But otherwise you would tell a person that, oh, isn't that taxing law is how interesting? Probably would say, no, it is boring. But became, you practice something and you get good at it, you get knowledge, you can see the different aspect of it, and then you enjoy it, you know, and people will look at you like a weirdo. How could somebody enjoy such a boring subject? But that's what it is. that's why you have to do what you like to do, because you like and you want to always read about, think about, and then finally you became an expert. And then you get expert, you enjoy even more, and you learn more, and then, you know, you love what you are doing. That's how it forms. It's not, you know, people say, oh, you follow your passion or something, you know, you love animals. Oh, not really. You know, there are so many things. You can be an expert, and then you love it and enjoy, and you love to do it. Do you understand? Do you interested in tax law? Not yet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the lady in white?
It's my honor to hear such an inspiring speech, Dr. Katalin. And I would like to ask about what would you do when you're feeling stressful or depressed? Because you just said that you feel happy when you're in lab, but I want to know what actual act will you do when you are depression or as like made yourself back to the track? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know whether the genes, but I don't have these depressing genes in me. So you know that when I was doing an experiment, actually on the wall was this Leonardo da Vinci quote that experiment never errs, only your expectation. You did an experiment that and you did a different one you expected the result for. So all the experiment is always works. You just don't understand why you get that outcome, yeah? And so, but when I was doing an experiment and I expected something outcome, and then I couldn't even see the result, I was thinking, oh, if I don't get that, probably this or that, you know, immediately was thinking about that, why I might not get that result and what I should change. And then, you know, so it was not that when you are a scientist, you constantly facing difficulties because you don't understand. You are doing things nobody ever done. That's the bottom line. Because if you are doing what people did, then you are not a researcher. Actually, you know, the word researcher, which I am, is not saying, actually searcher. But researcher means, because we are repeating, the re is there, yeah? In Hungarian, it's just searcher, but in English, re, yeah? So that we have to repeat. And so it is, you always had to see the silver lining on things, you know, and thinking about the solution. And I remember New Year's Eve, I ran to the lab because I felt that now the purification with Drew Weissman, we were working 2 years, how to purify RNA. We could see that the double-stranded RNA contaminants were there. And then I was coming, you know, and thinking, and it is good that you are getting older and older. This is a good profession to be scientist, because in a ballerina, you know, at age 70 cannot jump that well, but you know, a scientist knows more, and then all in science is like analogy. Oh, there is a precedence for that for somewhere else, yeah? And then you say, oh, maybe this is applied to what I am doing, and so that's why it coming to idea, maybe this is the way I have to do it, and you feel this urgency that you have to run there and do the experiment. And I was New Year's Day, I told my husband, that's great, you know, nobody was there, you know, I could park right in the entrance, so, you know, I was happy. And even if it is not working, you don't feel that, oh, I wasted my time, but you learn. From every experiment you learn. And it is so much fun. So that's what I want to say. People said, you know, I struggled and what, you know, ups and downs. I think mostly down, but it was my work. But I enjoyed, and I always was thinking and imagining. Like my daughter was a rower and had all of these blisters in her hands. You know, if you have a rower friend, there's constantly blisters there. And I imagined that, oh, one day people will have collagen 7 mRNA in their refrigerator, maybe different mRNA, and they need, you know, they have a blister or a burn. wound, they just take out one which put in the RNA there and accelerate healing. Why it is better than the protein? The protein wash away, but if you put there the RNA, in a couple of days it's locally secreting the protein, which helps healing. So I thought that it will be one day. We are working on it so that you can have in your refrigerator some RNA.
Thank you.
So when you are facing stress, I think you just think of Dr. Karikó, and you will get a strength, I believe. When we are stressed, we think of you, and we will get the courage and strength.
And find in the stress something that, I have to say, in high school, my teacher, actually one of them didn't like me at all. And when I just finished my final exam, he told me that he knows somebody at the university. He will make sure that I will not be accepted. He will tell. Yeah, that's not very good news. Yeah, and so I went and studied very, very hard so that I will be the best. So make sure that the university accepts. And I could say that in retrospect, not at that minute when he is telling me, but if he says that, Kati, I know somebody, I will arrange, it was very difficult to get into the university, I will arrange that you will be in. What? I would just sit back in the summer, yeah, and I would know less. So that you even the worst news, you can, depending on you, you can find something, the strengths, resilience, and then learn. So that point I learned, not everybody is rooting for me. And that will come back later in life. So not everybody wants good for me. So you can learn and also make you more resilient. Because if your parents arrange everything, the red carpet, that you just can get to the somewhere, you don't learn how to fight for your life. And it wouldn't be, you give up easier because you didn't put all of this. Those who are going to the US and immigrants, they are fighters because, there's so much work put into to get there, and they will not give up that easily, yeah? And so hardship is good, eventually. When you are experiencing, you might think differently, but eventually you learn how to fight and stand up for yourself and be resilient and don't give a shit about somebody saying something, that you know, and go ahead and believe in yourself.
This is very encouraging. Thank you. And we have, I see so many ladies raising their hands. Would you like to pick one for your next question?
She's right next to you have the microphone, huh? Oh, you just answer. Or whatever is the microphone, anybody.
Okay. Who has the microphone in hand?
Oh, you can give her your microphone. Yeah. I think there's one. One? Okay.
Hello, Dr. Karikó, and I would like to ask you a question. There's so many things to do in your schedule, like researching, teaching, studying, family, and other activities. And what's your secret to manage them so well?
You could ask my husband, maybe wouldn't agree with you that I'm managing things well, because, listen, girls, you have to find the right husband, and the boys, you have to be the good husband, so that you have a dream, and then your partner had to respect this and help you, because, in my book, I also write about when you have a child, you have to take care of your elderly parents, you have other things. This is, and usually the women will say that, okay, that's my responsibility. Okay, to be pregnant is still your responsibility, but after the child is, that this is shared responsibility, and taking care of the parents is shared responsibility, so that you don't have to give up your dreams. Because what happened is that the problem is there, the taking care of the child or something is a real problem. And the potential that I might, your dream is just a potential. And this is easier to give up something which is like potential because the other thing is real. And I am telling you, don't. And don't doubt your child over. You know, my daughter came out fine. You could see her. Yeah? So I remember that in school, for example, she had to get up. I was 6 o'clock. I was at work. So I was not telling her, okay, come on, go to school. No, she knew that she had to get up. Even she had to make breakfast for my husband because he works 3 shifts and is coming home. And when I went to pick up my daughter, you know, and she's now 40 years old, but, you know, she was in elementary school, and she came, you know, big holes in her pants, and this was like she, in the morning, selected some very used pants. I said, you came to school like that? You know, with the big holes. Okay, today I know maybe parents realize that, and then it will make it fashionable to have big holes, you know. But at that time, you know, in the 1990s, it was not fashionable. But then, okay, that's fine. You know, you don't take seriously things, and you don't try to make be perfect wife, perfect daughter, sister, mother. Don't do that, you know. Your dream is more important than the other is, you know, it will be fine, you know. My daughter wanted to, you know, learn how to play on piano, and I just went this computer piano, and she learned on it, and it's fine, you know. I don't have time to take her to piano lesson or things, so you don't have to overdo it. And you have to rely on your partner and grandparents and, you know, neighbors, yeah, so that, and don't overdo it.
Okay, thank you very much.
This is what you asked, I forget.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Real life is not easy.
And my husband also, you know, that he didn't complain when I run in Saturday.
Oh. He didn't?
No, that, you know, like I didn't cook and, you know, came home with the PCR machine that couldn't close the lid, and I told him, you have to fix it for tomorrow because I need it. And so that he had me, of course, you know, without him, you know, I wouldn't be here either. So, and again, you know, that my husband, when I met my husband, I was finishing the university, and he was in high school. She's 5 years younger. And my mother told me, he's a very nice young man, but, you know, it won't work. Because when you are 45 years old, she told me, my own mother, you are 45 years old is an old woman, and 40 years old man is a young man. So I told, okay, when I am 45 years old, I will divorce my husband. But anyway, so we are 43 years old, 43 years we are together, and so it's fine, you know. Everything I did, most of the thing in my life, you know, people question, even my own mother. But, you know, at the end, you know it, and you go for it. You listen to your parents, and then you do what you want. That's what I say.
What a
the
life
parents
story.
are not here, and they are not listening.
So we are all encouraged.
Yes.
A lot. And due to the interest of time, we may have probably the one last question.
Yeah, she's there.
So she's always there. Please.
In front of you.
Yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, Dr. Karikó, and my name is Phoebe. I'm going to be one of the TFG students too. And I have a question here that I'm very curious about. What does your parents think about your job? And does they support you to be a scientist in the beginning?
Yes. So my father was a butcher, and I work in a butcher shop when summertime and winter time when I was in high school. You know, every 2 weeks we made 100 kilo of sausage. Yesterday on my acceptance speech, I mentioned that I learned from my parents that hard work is part of life and how to make sausage. So I could make my living even if I would not be a biologist. And so they, they know that my sister, who was 3 years older, she got a PhD in economy. So, you know, in a local butcher with 6 elementary education get PhDs, daughters, a big thing. And so, you know, my father tried to understand that what I am doing and try to explain to them. And they were very proud of both of us and for me what I am doing. But unfortunately, my father was 63 years old. He passed away. My mother, she died 5 years ago, and she actually every October she listened that you know, next week is Nobel Prize. Maybe you get the prize. My mother told me that, you know, when I never even get a grant. and so when I told my mom, you know, that how laughable this is, and she said, but you work so hard. And I told her that every scientist works hard. But yeah, so my mother, so she knew that I was working in Germany, and she, you know, that she learned about more what science I am doing, and but yeah, so they didn't know about the vaccine and other things because my father died early on, and my mother recently. But yeah.
But I think her dream will come true.
I don't know that, but it's again, you know, the prize is like people, you know, some prize committee is giving out prize. Thank you to the Time Prize. You know, they decide. They think that they did a good decision. People who are getting the prize, they think, oh, I deserve it, you know. But everybody can make a mistake. So this is also like what Nobel Prize is 100 years old. In England, there is the Copy Prize, 300 years old. I get the John Scott Award. In the US, oldest prize, 200 years old. You never heard about John Scott's Prize, but Marconi, Tesla, Röntgen, Curie, they all get that. But because, you know, they are not given out by royals or not getting different kind of events, you know, that not announcing in their television live that who gets it. So people don't know about it.
But no matter what happens, you have already changed the whole world. And we have all the benefits by your vaccines. Thank you. So as we reach the end of our session, I'd like to express our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Karikó. It wouldn't be possible without her or the Tom Price Foundation. And I'd like to thank you for your participation. Okay,
thank you.
That concludes our session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, the panelists and everyone, for all the interesting questions and inspiring answers to conclude the event for today. And panelists, please come to the center. We will be taking a group photo for you.